Good morning. My name is Jeffrey Katz, K-A-T-Z, and I'm the Chief of Police for the Boynton Beach Police Department. In August of 2014, members of our department arrested Byron Harris and two occupants of his vehicle following a high-speed pursuit. During this pursuit, one of our officers was struck by a vehicle believed to be operated by Mr. Harris. Pursuing officers, and in fact even Mr. Harris, believed that he had struck and killed Officer Jeffrey Williams. Officer Williams suffered life-threatening injuries, including a broken back, but he has thankfully since recovered. As has been widely and frequently reported in recent years, some aspects of this arrest were captured from a FLAIR video camera aboard a PBSO helicopter. In February of 2015, I held a press conference to discuss the release of this video and to announce that within 2 weeks of this incident, I had enlisted the assistance of the Palm Beach County State Attorney's Office and the FBI to help us understand the complexities of this incident, which ultimately culminated in several arrests. I said at the time, and I mean it to this day, that I believe in our personnel. I believe in the work they do, and I am grateful for the over 700,000 law enforcement professionals throughout this country who put their own safety at risk to keep us safe. An overwhelming majority of the time, they get it right, and we are better and safer because of it. Unfortunately, in this instance, federal authorities have reported back that their extensive 3-year investigation has led to the filing of a criminal complaint by the U.S. Attorney's Office for alleged improprieties by two of our current members, Philip Antico and Michael Brown, and two of our former employees, Ronald Bryan and Justin Harris. I have limited information regarding the specific nature of these charges, other than to say that they will be made available by the U.S. Attorney's Office later today after the first appearance. I realize that today's announcements will inspire strong emotions for those of us within the department, those of us who love our community, and any of us who love any party involved in this incident, whether in 2014 or today. Regardless of the specific details of this investigation, we will not let this incident of several years ago define us. This does not in any way devalue the enormous and meaningful contributions our officers make in this community every day. Overwhelmingly, the majority of the men and women of this department have made strides these past few years to live the values of this organization. I value, love, and respect each of them for the work they do. Those named in this criminal complaint who are still employees of the city have been placed on paid administrative leave in accordance with Florida law. We will respect the due process rights of all of the accused and evaluate our administrative options once judicial proceedings have concluded. While I had hoped the finding of this investigation would have been different, I have tremendous respect for the difficult work done by our partners in the Justice Department. I would like to thank the tireless efforts of everyone who worked over these past 3 years to establish a recommendation in this case. I trust our legal system to come to an objective and just finding, whatever it may be. Again, I don't have any further specific details about this investigation, but I am happy to take a few quick questions just to improve the dialogue.
The two officers that have still been with the department since then, have there been any complaints against them? What's their conduct been like since that incident?
I didn't hear your question. I'm terribly sorry.
I'm sorry. The two officers, Antico and Brown, who have still remained with the department, how has their conduct been since this incident? Have there been any complaints against them?
We've been closely monitoring we closely monitor every member of our department because the work that we do is important. We have paid particular attention to those parties who were involved in this incident because we have not known the specifics of any aspect of this investigation. The federal authorities have been working on it. We will make all of the internal affairs files and documentation available to you.
Chief, you said you don't want this arrest or the moment to define the department and the work you do. What is maybe your message to the community who might see this and be worried about the men and women in blue who are patrolling their streets? Can they still have confidence and faith in the work that those officers are doing?
Absolutely, and I appreciate that question. The fact of the matter is this is an incident that took place in 2013, and we were a very different department in 2013 than we are in 2017. The men and women of this department have done extraordinary things. The progress that they have made truly is beyond anything that I imagined in this 4-year period of time. We have continued to work to advance our transparency and to work with members of our community. We've instituted all kinds of programs of accountability that we didn't have before, including body-worn cameras for all of our personnel. We've conducted de-escalation training with all of our personnel over the years, implicit bias training with our personnel over the years. We are continuing to work to make this agency better. It's a credit to every man and woman within this department. I say frequently internally that the least of us defines the rest of us, so on any given day the least of us needs to be pretty darn good. Of late, that's been the case. Unfortunately, as I said, in 2013 this was a very different agency, and in some respects, while this is a painful process, this period underscores the progress that we've made as an agency over the years, and we're going to continue that trajectory.
Are you able to give any charges at the moment? I know you said something's coming out later, but what charges are they facing?
The criminal complaint in this case was sealed. I'm not highly familiar with the federal process, and so I've been trying to be as respectful as possible to that process. My understanding is that once the officers and members of the public now go to their first appearance, the U.S. Attorney's Office will unseal the criminal complaints and they will be made available. But I don't have any specifics.
Chief, are you concerned that there could be a civil rights violation involved in this and this could escalate into something along those lines? What's your response to that?
Well, I'm certainly concerned about the possibility of a civil rights issue. The question has always been, was the use of force justified? And if it was justified, then fine. If it was not justified, then the appropriate venue to investigate that would be the Justice Department, which is why I reached out to them for their assistance. Also, they have tremendous investigative resources that we don't. We have great investigators and we have a wonderful detective bureau, but as you can see, it took the FBI and the Justice Department 3 years to get through this investigation. So you can only imagine, the complexities that they face. So certainly, what we do as sworn law enforcement officers is fundamentally grounded in the preservation of the civil rights and liberties of the people that we come into contact with. It is the nature of the oath that we all swear to, so it is the foundation of what we do. And we need to make sure that we are adhering to the civil rights of every person that we come into contact with.
Chief, you mentioned that it's a lot different department, now compared to 3-4 years ago. But over the last month or so, there's been a couple of other headlines with the officers from the department, Officer Mello and Price and Prince. Where do those investigations stand, and what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's been an unfortunate month.
Right.
We've had a couple of incidents off duty, and I think it's important to stress these are off-duty incidents. We've got 214 members of this department, and in some measure, I'm accountable to their conduct 24/7, whether they're working or not working. Those cases, as soon as we learned of them, we took appropriate action. We're looking into those incidents. I'm very concerned about it. I can tell you anybody on my staff that saw me on Monday saw that I was angry. I was angry about the allegations. But again, everybody has a right to due process, and we are going to respect that due process. We're going to look into it. But no doubt, it's a kick in the gut to every member of this department when anybody acts out in a way that's incongruent with our values. And that's why I frequently preach about the least of us defines the rest of us. My understanding is that this morning.
Maybe,
Yes, ma'am.
There were several other officers involved in the incident. Do you know why these particular officers and former officers are being charged and not the others, and what parties are coming?
That's a great question. For anybody who didn't hear it, the question was there were several members of the department that were involved in this arrest and potentially subject to investigation. Do I know why these specific individuals were charged and not the others? As I said, I have no information about the specifics of this investigation. Very consciously, I have remained out of this investigation. I wanted it to be outside, objective, and impartial. And quite frankly, the federal system is a very secretive system, and by design. So I don't have that information, but I'm sure that in the coming days we will get more clarity as to what happened, and we'll move on from there. I'm going to take one more question, and then I have to run. Anybody?
Regarding the two officers that are no longer with the department, how did their time with the department come to an end?
I fired one of them on an unrelated matter, and the other one left the agency soon after this incident and took a job in the private sector.
Follow up to that, Chief, what was the one, which officer did you fire and for what reason?
Ron Ryan. As I said, we have been monitoring, we monitor all of our personnel, but specifically personnel involved in this incident we have taken a special look at because we didn't know who was involved and to what extent their actions were or were not justified. We have a special duty to the public to evaluate that. Certainly it would be inappropriate to put 12 or 13 people on administrative leave. You just can't do that. So, we took a look at and evaluated our personnel. We believed that Ron Ryan's conduct was incongruent with the standards of what we would expect a member of our department to be able to deal with during a time of crisis. We evaluated him and made the determination it was best for all parties involved to cut him loose, and we did.
Lastly, Chief, is Officer Williams back in serving in the police department, or is injuries that night too severe to return to duty?
Thankfully, he has returned. He did get a double fracture in his back, among other injuries, but he has thankfully returned to duty, and we're happy with that. All right, thank you very much. I appreciate your time this morning.